Boy, get ready for 11 million red pills to be shoved down the throats of every American. Apparently, Joe Biden is considering just a blanket amnesty bill, something that Obama didn't even try to get done. But I guess that's because, Obama, he was just too divisive. And this guy, Joe Biden, we're being told, is the most popular president in American history. He's very unifying. Everybody likes Joe Biden, so maybe they'll buy the amnesty thing from him. Now, of course, when you hear the 11 million number, that's kind of nonsensical. That's based on very old data, from what I understand, from many years ago. And so there could be 30, 50 million, who knows how many illegals live in this country right now. So a blanket amnesty is going to be a lot more than 11 million people. And you can be sure that that would probably turn Texas and Florida blue, the two biggest red states. With, those two by themselves were not enough to push Trump over the edge. Trump won both Texas and Florida fairly easily in 2020 and still lost. But without those two, no Republican will ever be president again. And who knows how this will change, the makeup of the House and all this other stuff. Now, this is probably one of the more threatening prospects of the incoming Biden administration, because unlike stuff like gun control, which I think would only hurt the federal government, something like amnesty, if they're able to actually implement it, would be disastrous, because states like Texas and Florida, which would be, I think, the leaders in resisting the federal government and trying to erode their power and sort of reclaim states' rights, if those can be subdued, if they can be squashed by changing their electorate, well then, how is Texas going to stand up to, gun confiscation, and the like? And this has been done before. California was a reliably Republican state pretty much from the time that it became a state up until Ronald Reagan's amnesty bill in the late 80s, and ever since then, California has been a solid blue state. Were it not for that amnesty, we might be, California might be in this discussion along with Texas and Florida as one of the big red states. So if this passes, what could these states do? How would the states resist amnesty? Could they still somehow deny these people citizenship? Could they deny them the right to vote? That would run afoul of all sorts of civil rights law, federal civil rights law, which, to me, the idea of all the civil rights legislation, to me, is pretty dubious for, both constitutional and, sort of legal principle reasons. And I won't get into detail about that because different laws have different problems. But if Congress and the presidency decide to just give all these people amnesty and make them citizens, which, by the way, I shouldn't even say, this is much bigger than amnesty because they're saying that they're going to give them citizenship, not even a path to citizenship, just straight up citizenship. That would, then you'd get into the states having to violate their civil rights. What governors have the stomach to do that? To be called, civil rights abusers by the media? That's a much tougher thing to do than something like resisting gun control. And also identifying all these people who got amnesty would be kind of difficult, because I'm sure that they'll be lumped in with everyone, all the new citizens who were getting naturalized anyway at the same time. I don't think there'll just be a list of, okay, here's all the people who got amnesty, and so these states can go, okay, we're not going to give you the rights of, we're not going to treat you like a citizen. I think that, each individual all of a sudden would just, they would have papers. It wouldn't be like there's some master list of all these people who you can keep track of. And so to me, this is something that actually needs to be defeated in Congress. But it's something, I guess, that could wake people up. Because this is the kind of thing, and I think, a lot of the American right is has been very passionate about immigration for a very long time. I mean, that was Trump's #1 thing that got him elected the first time, was immigration. Now, of course, Trump has, obviously, by the fact that we're talking about this, Trump did not solve the problem for the right. There was no resolution to the problem of all the illegals in this country. And so, hopefully this is the kind of thing that will enrage people enough to where, they will, they would try and do something to resist it. But like I'm saying, I don't know what you could really do after, okay, let's just talk about how hard it would be to stop it in Congress. They've got a 50-50 Senate, so essentially you need to get Joe Manchin to go against this. That would be the idea, right? And you could say, well, that probably would be possible because this is a very extreme bill. It's not just mass amnesty. It's giving all the illegal citizenship. That's a pretty easy thing to oppose, especially when you're from West Virginia. I mean, nobody in West Virginia wants all the illegals to have citizenship, except for maybe 5% of the population. But then again, you've got a lot of Republican senators over the years who have been very open to amnesty. Remember the Gang of Eight? At least two of those guys are two of the Republicans who are part of the Gang of Eight, Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio, are still in the Senate. I can't remember. I know Jeff Flake was one of the other of the 4 Republicans of the Gang of Eight. I can't remember who the 4th one was. Might have been McCain. It might have been McCain, Graham, Rubio, and Flake. I mean, God, what a horrible group there. But Rubio, I don't think would be able to go along with this. Rubio, I think, would be a safe no on this. Scott would be a safe no on this. Not only because they know that it would probably destroy their own political futures. It would be impossible for them to get elected statewide in Florida if all the illegals here suddenly could vote. But who knows about all these Republicans everywhere else? I mean, hell, at this point, maybe even Ben Sasse would vote for it. Lindsey Graham, it's hard to say at this point. I mean, he did just get reelected, so it's possible. But I mean, again, this is going to be so toxic and divisive. It's going to be tough for a Republican other than Lisa Murkowski to vote for it, just because Lisa Murkowski, she doesn't give a damn. She's from a deep red state, and she's just, she's always use the political capital of her family name to get away with whatever she does. Susan Collins, it's questionable whether she would do it. I think that this might be a little too extreme for her. She would say, well, I support amnesty with a path to citizenship, but not instant citizenship. That might be her thing. But just because let's say that just Joe Manchin voting against this would not be enough to stop it. There's going to be it's ultimately going to be up to the will of Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell is going to be more important than Manchin on this, because even if Joe Manchin flips to the Republican side, votes against this because he's from West Virginia, and this is a non-starter as far as West Virginians go. If Mitch McConnell doesn't force every single Republican, all 50 of them, to vote against this, there's going to be a couple that defect and vote for it. I mean, Mitt Romney, how have I not mentioned him? Mitt Romney, I think, would love this idea. I mean, believe it or not, there are actually, after 2012, when Mitt Romney lost, the consensus amongst the Republican establishment was that Mitt Romney was too tough on immigration. Not kidding. That's what they believe. And so Mitt Romney himself still probably believes that. So he thinks, hey, I can redeem myself politically. Maybe I can run for president in 2024 if I give everyone amnesty. Now, the other thing is, if this does pass, which I think there's a chance that it does, you probably have a better chance of stopping it in the House than in the Senate, because I think there's enough vulnerable Democrats in the House who might defect and vote with the Republicans, because the Republican House, I'm sure, is going to be solid against this. I cannot say the same for the Republican Senate. So if they can get a few Democrats to defect on this, maybe this bill could be blocked in the House. But if not, if it's passed, at that point, and this is unfortunate because I don't think that it would happen, I think the only thing that could stop this from going into full effect would be an immediate unilateral secession. A clean break with the United States would be the only way to keep your voter rolls intact, to make sure that because you can't stop the federal government from making people citizens. I don't know how you as a state could go around that. So you would have to make your break with the federal government before these people are made citizens, or else even if you secede later, you're not going to know who are the ones that, that were the illegals who deserve to be disenfranchised. And so this really is a smart play on the part of the Democrats. It shows how ruthless they've become, even, so much more in the last 4 years, to where, they're like, hey, we have a slim shot. We have the most tenuous grip on authority ever, and let's make sure that we don't lose that. That in fact we're able to strengthen our hand in 2 years, and that we never lose power again. Because that's what this is. This is the nuclear option for the Democrats. And as far as I'm concerned, the nuclear option for the right would be to secede. But I don't know if the prospect of amnesty before it's implemented would be enough to push people to do that. I feel like it would be moving too fast, too quick. There needs to be more that happens first. And if Biden's opening punch is this amnesty, that's enough to make me worry. And I've been a pretty optimistic guy about all this. So anyway, with that said, if you get anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe, because I do upload every day and I'd hate to have you miss one. So I'll see folks back here tomorrow.